In this video, we're gonna show you exactly how to create your photos look stunning and cinematic with your DJI Mavic 3, Mini 3 or other drones that has a manual function. Whether you're capturing breathtaking landscapes or shooting a model and telling a compelling story, we will make sure your photos looks really professional. Before we take into the skies, let's ensure your camera settings are optimized for the best results possible. Let's dive into it.
First, you want to go to your camera settings and select JPEG and RAW. Then you scroll down towards the grid lines and make sure you hit the cross and the rule of thirds. You can also choose the dot. Make sure the internal storage is on and select the white balance approximately on 5K.
Shooting in RAW is super important to get the maximum results. You have far more information to choose and you will have a lot of depth in the contrasts and depth in the colors to work with in your edit. But if you have the equipment and the Photoshop or Lightroom, make sure you shoot in RAW and we can make some magic. Let's go. Okay, so we just set up the grid lines and the marker. The marker is super important to mark your specific goal. The grid lines are really helpful to use the rule of third. And the rule of third is just a psychological kind of way to make things attractive and position them in a way that is also attractive. That's just an example. Another example would be use one of the crosses for the sunset. So we are gonna use manual exposure and the HDR function. The HDR function is basically 5 photos with one photo really overexposed, so a lot of light, too much light. And the other one, the opposite one, is underexposed. The natural light sources. So how much Kelvin would I need? How much Kelvin is the sun? How much Kelvin is a white sky, a blue sky? So we will cover that as well to get you more involved and resonating with what light does and how much Kelvin light is in natural environments. So when you have a glimpse of, okay, candlelight is 2 or 3K, then you definitely know how to use light in your benefit. So of course the newer drones like the Mavic 3, Mavic 3 Classic, the Mini 3 Pro, they all have the HDR function built in. There is a great advantage for the Mavic 3 users, which allows them to create a really cool starburst vibe. If you go to f11, so the f-stop 11 or aperture 11, you can create a stunning starburst effect like these. So we have different kind of lightings. We have lighting from the front, from the back, from the side and from under. We will show you and demonstrate you in this illustration what it means for drone photographers to create the professional photo you want. And in the mornings with golden hour, we work especially with these kind of lightings. Golden hour, the perfect moment which we're gonna use for this tutorial. So golden hour is sunrise or sunset. And this is highlighting the rich, dramatic shadows and the rich colors and also showing really deep contrasts. And when you have lighting from really low, you will see a lot of really long shadows. And this creates a really cool, dramatic, cinematic effect we are gonna achieve. The ND filter is really important to control the essentials of light. We're also gonna explain you the different lighting directions and their impact on the photo, like we discussed previously with the golden hour. Furthermore, we're gonna showcase you the difference in color temperature and natural lighting sources. It's super helpful to know what kind of natural color, what the color profiles are of natural light resources. So it's really important to illustrate the color temperatures of natural light sources. And if you know them, you can use them in your advantage. Telling a story with your photo. It's super important to emphasize that you tell a great story and that you don't have a lot of subjects in your photo. It makes it messy, distractive, and the viewer is gonna confused a little bit like, okay, what's going on here? So you really want to emphasize your story through your photo. So for example, we have this model over here and we have a super stunning environment. The best way to showcase the story of a model is basically showcasing the environment and the model. For example, 1/3 is the model and 2/3 is the environment. And you make sure it's only the environment and not some construction workers or building a hotel. So you make sure the best of the best within the environment and the model is showcased. So for example, you remove the construction workers and you remove this floating thing in the beach, and you will emphasize the model and the environment even more. Especially with the use of AI in Photoshop, it's super easy these days. But if you can avoid this, it's way more helpful and effective. So there you have it, our guide to make your drone footage stunning, cinematic with your Mavic 3, Mini 3, or even with another drone, but make sure you use the manual settings. So remember, it's not about the equipment. I encourage you to choose any drone with a manual aperture and manual exposure, or just manual settings in general, that you can create 5 photos with and try it yourself, because you don't have to have these fancy Inspires or fancy Mavic 3s in order to create stunning drone art. So it's really about creativity and your imagination and just trying and searching, and really important, planning your shots. I hope you had a lot of value from it, and especially I hope you make a lot of cool photos. If you have any questions, please let me know. Hit the subscribe button for more tutorials, drone adventures, tips and tricks.
Let's import the raw photos. You go over to File and say Add Photos. Then you want to go over to all of your 5 pictures. So in my case, 5 pictures of a waterfall. Let's review the import. Alright, since I already edited the photos, it will already show up. But let's see the difference. So when you imported your photos, you will see the difference in contrast. This one is a little bit overexposed. This one slightly less. This one is a lot of overexposure, and this one is underexposed. What you want to do is hold Control or Command on your computer, and you will hit Control, and then you want to merge them all together to a HDR merge. There is an extra bonus if you do the panorama merge, or even better, the HDR panorama merge. This means you will have a lot of pictures together and you will also merge them to an HDR. So basically you will have a big skyline, for example, merged to an HDR. This is the best one for example, to sell on Art Heroes. We go for a regular HDR merge now. You will gathering the data and then you will really smoothly edit them together. Alright, I'm really satisfied with the results. Normally you can also change some settings over here or align, but there's almost no movement and it will do it really perfectly. There's even like a really smooth buttery effect in the waterfall. So I will say merge. Alright, what you will see is quite perfect, but let's take a look at the difference. Alright, if you want to have this cinematic look a little bit more, which I like more, then we go ahead to this channel. We're gonna play with the highlights a little bit to showcase the waterfall, because if it's too much, you won't see the waterfall details anymore. So we're gonna slightly change that. Then the shadows. I really like the shadows because of the depth, you know, it gives the extra depth, and you will also see the smoke around the waterfall because it's super cold, and this is a really cool effect. So I want to keep that as well. Then the blacks. We're gonna change the blacks a little bit to make it more depth in the contrast. You know, in the jungle over here, it gives a lot of more depth. I really like that. Then we go over to the contrast a little bit, and you will see directly that a little bit in the plus gives a more, and this is really perceived as cinematic. Now the exposure, we almost don't need to do anything, but if you want to have the brighter look, I would say you can pump it a little bit. I would say like it doesn't need anything. It's only on plus 0.79. Alright, so this is the difference between non-applied the light, and here you will see the difference with the light. So definitely a better option. Then we did the lighting, but we want to change some of the vibrance. You can also do that before the lighting, doesn't really matter, but you will see which colors you work with. It's a lot of green and white, so if you want to pump that up even more, you will see which colors we are especially working with. So there is no blue, no red at all. Perfect for the cinematic look again. Some people do like a little bit less vibrant pictures, which is really fine as well. It's a matter of style in this area, I would say. So if you go to color and color editing, it's kind of a style. This has more a washed kind of vibe, and if you want to be more in the pumpy, fully exposed colors, you would pump the vibrance a little bit more. Then the saturation can also play around with, but too much you will see it's super greeny and it looks artificial in a way. If you like the artificial style, you can play around like crazy with it, you know, like pump up even more green or less green, you know. But we don't want to do this for this particular tutorial. So we want to go for +20 and we keep the greens all natural, like this. All right, so we also see some blues over here in the water. We can play around with it, but it's also kind of greeny. So it won't change that much over here. So it's probably a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We can always, if we can't find the color, we can always, you know, play around with this one over here. If you want to add a little bit more of the yellows or a little bit more of the greens, you can either choose to get this crazy effects, but for my taste, I would say I would go in the middle. A little bit less. So this is the color mixer, really useful to pump some colors. Well, the yellows. Now the yellows. You can always check -100 and +100 what is adding. So in the top right corner, you will see this rock formation, and that is the really yellow vibe. It's not really the main subject, I would say, but it definitely adds some warmth. So you can change this a little bit up. There is almost no orange, I would say. No, there's almost no orange, but if you pay really close attention, in the left corner you see some flowers over here. So that's definitely a plus to add for my personal taste. You can add it a little bit. Really cool. All right, and then red. I would say there's not much red, but let's see. No, there's no red, so it doesn't make a difference. So that's the color mixer. Then we have the grading. If we want to have some more color grading, so if we want to have some more sky, we can say, well, we change the midtones, just like this example. You know, you see this sky popping up. We don't have a lot of sky here, but we can play around with the water. You know, the midtones and the water. So what we do is we go to the blue zone over here, and you see the water is coming up at the waterfall. So this is color grading, but you want to be subtle with this. You know, it's cold water. If you want to have the warm cinematic look, you can also skip it, you know, and pump it down. But we can try add a little bit of the blues, so it will emphasize the waterfall even more. You see, really cool. All right, then the shadows are particularly around the waterfall, downwards, and in the jungle. This is especially green, so we go for green, and you will see a lot of green right now. That's not what we want. So we're gonna play around a little bit down, add some less in here, maybe the opposite way to get more warmth. You know, you see more detail in the shadows, like down there. This is really stunning. So we create more warmth there, and it's actually also playing around a little bit. You know, you see the shadows. So you will add shadows. What this does is you will add color to the shadows, and it's really amazing because it was really dark over there, and right now you will definitely see an improvement down here, and it will definitely pump up the colors within the shadow. So you will definitely have some depth and really cinematic cool effect over here. All right, so that's the shadow. The highlights is especially the water here. So the highlights meaning like sky, whitish kind of vibes, you know, like the highlights, you know, like the. So we can play around to find out what we like. So we can go for cold, you know, we go for the, like the bluer colors. If you want to have some more warmth into the waterfall, it's also possible. We go more to the sunset kind of colors, you know, And for this particular aspect of coloring, it's really helpful to go to the other chapter of lighting and natural color sources. But you will get the point. You want to have more cold kind of effect, you know. You go slightly a little bit too more to the blue zone, but if you like to, like I like the warmth a little bit more, so I would go for a little bit reddish yellow kind of vibe, you know, like it highlights the scene a little bit, pump it up a little bit more. But you will also see that up the waterfall there's a lot of white now, so sometimes it's nice to go back and change the settings a little bit. So I go a little bit less exposure, for example. I would go slightly more of these kind of highlights down, so I will emphasize the structure of the water. But I really love this color grading. So that's basically lighting and color grading. So I have two styles over here, you see. This one is the more bushy kind of vibe, and this one has a bit more greens, I would say, and the reds. In this one, yeah, so it's quite close. This one emphasized the waterfall a bit more, which I really like. And this one has a better surroundings. So it's a merge, and you can definitely play around with that. What we also can do is change this one and go to color and just change the midtones again to emphasize the waterfall again, you know, and not too much green as well. So maybe we even go for a little bit warmer midtones, and because it has already a lot of greens, you know, so we can go for the midtones and change it a little bit to the yellow tail kind of vibe, you know. It's just really cool. I really love this combination of, you know, making two versions and then choose the best options you have. This is really a luxury, and I would definitely recommend that one. All right, and the shadows are also popping up in this one, so we can make it a little bit warmer. It doesn't need a lot, and the steam will pop out again. This is super epic. So here I would say I'm really satisfied. I'm really satisfied with this one. So now we can proceed and export. You have two options. So we make a reel, for example. We make a story cover like this, right? Or we say we make a square kind of vibe for, I would say, a post. Or we get the full frame for art heroes because we want to sell this one, for example, like we do at Surreal Media. So yeah, that's it. And now you can hit the export, go to Photoshop, maybe add some AI elements or remove some elements you don't like, you know, and you're done.
Fly your drone like a true filmmaker and explore the world from above. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you had a lot of value from it, and especially I hope you make a lot of cool photos. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I would love to see you next time.
You will help us a lot by liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and hit that notification bell. Thank you for tuning in. If you're ready to take your drone art to the next level and want to start creating passive income with it, I got something special for you. I'm launching a course that covers everything from using AI and drone art to get your stunning visuals in an online store and selling on platforms like Art Heroes myself. Imagining transforming your passion into a steady income, and I will show you exactly how. We are already making a small income with this, and it's crazy if you imagine what kind of money this is in some countries. It's even more worth it if you're traveling and create stunning drone art just like me. If you're interested, click the link in the description to get all the details and be one of the first to join.